Hey, I'm Caleb with YouCanMakeThisToo. Today we're going to be making some desks for these little guys who are joining me in the shop. I want to wear their gear. So, you guys ready to do some woodworking? Ready? I've done almost all the power tool work already, so we mostly have components that are ready to assemble, except for some gluing. So this is going to be one of your tops. So RJ, you seem eager. What we need to do is we're going to use this to put some pieces in here to help hold everything flat when we glue it up, okay? But the first thing we need to do is make some marks where we're going to do it. So we need to make 3 marks. So put a mark in the middle, make a mark across both boards.
Right here?
Yep. Straight as. Good. Now we need to make it a little longer. So actually, let me give you a little tool that might help. All right, let's use this. Let's put this right here. Now you make a mark along that. Yep. Here. You don't have to push very hard, just run it right along that. Yeah, see, now these boards are just a little bit bigger than the tops are going to be. Okay, that's why we don't have to worry about having the ends lined up, because we're going to cut the ends to the right size. So we're just making sure these are in the middle and not too far to the outside, because if they were too far to the outside, then we might cut into these thingies when we cut it, but they're plenty in the inside. And then we're going to put these thingies in that hole, okay? And that's going to help keep the wood flat. And I've got everything set that we need. So what we do is, if you look here, you see this line in the middle with the hole? Okay, we're going to put that hole over this line, and we're going to line up the lines we just drew with the line on the tool. And then we hold it down. I'll help you. Let me make sure we hold this really flat, and then we push this in slowly. This is how you cheat when you want to do woodworking. You cheat with the domino. Now, you notice I have a triangle on here, right? You know why I put a triangle?
No.
Okay, so the triangle, when you put a triangle together, it can only go together one way, right? You will have a known bottom, middle, and top. So I did the triangle to remember which piece would be the bottom, the middle, and the top when I made this, so we could put them back together really easy. And also, what do you notice is different about our holes?
Different length?
Yeah, we got some that are small and some that are wider, right? So these fit perfectly into the littler ones, so they're nice and tight. Now, if they were both little, we would have had to perfectly been on the line for these to go together, or they wouldn't go together, right? Because we got 3 of them, so if one of them was off and they were all the same size, we wouldn't get it together. So we made one a little bit bigger, because watch, it gives us a little bit of wiggle room, right? So now when we put 3 of these in here, and we got to get it together, it gives us a little bit of wiggle in case we made a little boo-boo. We plan to have a little boo-boo. So that's how we make those different size holes. We're almost ready to glue these up, guys, because we have our holes, we've got glue, we've got these little things. These are called dominoes. Don't they kind of look like a domino? Yeah, that's why they're called dominoes. But what are we going to need to do after we put the glue on? What do we always use when we glue things together to hold it together?
Clamps.
Clamps. Do you think we should get all of our glue on first and push everything together and then go get the clamps? Or have the clamps ready?
Have the clamps ready.
Yeah, so let's get some clamps ready. Now these clamps are about the right size. Okay, this is the smallest size I have that'll fit yours. You don't want to use a really big clamp if you don't need it. The next smaller one I have is this, but I don't think this is going to be big enough, is it? So we'll use these, and you'll each need 3. So what we should do, let's grab this handle when you get one, and tip it, and open this. You gotta pull that handle out and pull it down and open it. Can you carry that one? All right, let's head back over. Now once we start spreading the glue, it's going to start drying as soon as it's out in the air, right? So we got to move quick. So should we put glue on both of them at the same time, or do one and then do the other one?
One, then the other?
Yeah, I think that's smarter too. And since these things are going in there, we probably need to make sure we get some glue in those holes these are going in, huh? Are you guys warm? You want to take off your hoodies?
No, thanks.
Well, here, we're going to roll our sleeves, push our sleeves up.
I don't want to take off my hoodie.
You do? Okay. Because the other reason is so we don't get glue on it. What we do is we're just going to run like about, actually that's more than we need, a little bit in there. And then we just, all right, can you do that one? And then, now hold on, I'm going to move this. Now you do this one. Just spread the glue.
right here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, can you use this brush to spread it?
Sure.
Now, can you tap those in really lightly? It's not going to take a hard hit. Just make sure they go down all the way. Make it a little harder.
Good.
Try to make sure you're hitting straight. There you go. You can hear the difference. Hear how it's moving? Oh, you just hear I got a lot louder, like dum dum. That's how you know you got all the way down. Yep, that one went quick. All right. Now, which part of the triangle is this? Bottom, top, or middle?
Middle. Middle.
Line. Okay. And so then this has got to be the top, right? Yeah, you tap it till it all comes together. Yeah. Okay. Now, put it in the clamps. Now, we always want to alternate our clamps. This is only big enough for like 3 clamps, okay? So we'll do 2 on the outside and 1 in the middle, and the 1 in the middle we'll put on this side instead of the bottom side. Now, what you do is, no, don't screw it. Push it down, push it forward. Push it forward. You don't have to push it down. Okay. Now, lift it up, or lift it down, keep it down, and turn it down. Yep, and turn. Yep, it's closing up. And then watch this gap. As soon as that gap goes away, stop. Because we don't want to tighten it too much. Because if we tighten it too much, it's going to want to do this. Look, guys. It'll start bowing if you keep clamping it. So as soon as all those gaps disappear and it comes together, stop. Because once they're touching, if you keep squeezing, it's just going to whoop, and then we'll have a potato chip instead of a desk. It's no good, huh?
Potato chip.
Now look on the outside. See how there's glue coming and it's nice and together where our clamps are, but what about in the middle? We've got a gap, right? So we do need one in the middle to help hold it all together.
But why are we putting it where...
Just a little more. You got a little more?
That's
Because I can see it starting to go away. All right. Now I'm going to set this one on the floor so it's out of our way while we work on the other one. And then once that gum gets kind of gummy, we'll scrape it off. Because right, so since RJ needed help with the glue bottle, I think you will too. You ready? It's gonna spray. Perfect. Boom. Yep. 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 All across. Oh, perfect. Look, all the glue's that's good. Yeah, it's coming together. Look, you're doing it. That's enough. That's good. That's all we need. See how we have glue pretty much the whole way? That's good. All right, now we can let these dry. Okay, guys. So this is the back of your desk. This is the front of your desk. Notice something different?
This is taller than this.
Right. So the piece that goes on the side needs to have an angle, right? That's what we're going to make right now.
Why is it going to have an angle?
This makes it easier to write, because instead of being flat, it's going to tip at you and you'll be able to write a lot easier. So this is a tapering jig, and see what I did is I used those and I made the mark and made the angle here that we need. So that way this little piece will fit up front. See how that lines up with the mark? And then this one is the same size as the back. Now come around here and I'll show you how this works. Now what I did is I was able to tighten this, and when I tightened it, see it's at an angle instead of straight with the blade. And now watch, when I line this up, if you get down in front of it and you get right here and scoot down, get right in front of it, look down that line and see how it's straight with the blade? Yep, so now I can run this down my saw and get a straight cut on this angle and get that angle instead of a perpendicular cut or a parallel cut. Now, this is a side and this is the front. We also have a back, and these don't go together, right? Now, one thing we could do would be like just shoot some nails or screws through here, right? And that would hold it together. But that wouldn't be super strong because we're going into end grained here, the end of the board, and those don't hold very good. And these are kind of thin. So we're going to do some joinery. Joinery is when you cut wood to go together. Okay, so what we're going to do is what's called a box joint or a finger joint, because we're going to make a bunch of little fingers that all to go together. So we're going to cut some fingers on this end and cut some fingers on this end, and then they'll go together like that. So we're going to use this machine. The cool thing is using this is kind of like playing a video game, because you follow the arrows. I'll show you how to do it, and then you guys will get to do it. You just follow the arrows on the screen. Yeah, you remember this thing? It's pretty cool. So you guys want to use it? Both have to do 16, okay? But yeah, if you get tired of it, then I'll take over and finish up for you guys, okay? Once it gets going, what you want to do is see this dot? You want to keep that dot on that line and then follow it the way it moves. Here's the really cool thing about this. Do you think you can follow that line perfect? Guess what this does?
What?
If you move a little bit, it'll move the cutter so the cutter stays on the line even if you're not perfect. So as long as you move steady, it can make up for any mistake you make. Any mistake you make, it'll still make sure everything goes good. That's cool, huh? So you see this circle? As long as you keep that circle, the moving line inside the circle, it's fine. And if you get too far, guess what it does?
What?
It pulls the bit up so it doesn't make a boo-boo. Yep, so you're not going to mess it up. Don't worry about messing up. So I'm going to turn on the vacuum, and I'll help you get started.
Please.
And you're going to go. Our very first one, all right? See how we kind of have some fingers? Now you can think if we had another board like this, all the fingers would go together, right? But we got to finish this, so we're just going to flip it over and put it back in and do the other end. I'll hold it down, you pull.
Do you need this part?
Yeah, so this is what we call a sacrificial piece. Now wood has a bunch of fibers, right? Like straws, see on the end of here how you can see all those thingies? Well, the bit that's cutting spins. And those fibers are all connected. So sometimes when we come out, because it's spinning, those fibers, instead of just cutting nicely, will go and tear and rip. And then you'll have a bunch of tear and rip on the backside. So because we're pushed up against this other board, though, that makes sure those fibers can't just tear away instead of getting cut. Look, we got two sides, right? And a back. And this is how they go together now. See? Does that make sense? But is our front the same as the back?
No.
It's different, so we'll have to change the machine, right? But we have to do two of these. So before we change the machine, we'll do all the backs on yours. Then we'll change it and do both the fronts, okay? So it's your turn now. But now the machine's pretty smart, but not all the way smart. It doesn't know if something's in here wrong, does it? It just knows how to go straight. So we need to make sure everything is straight the right way. So this is rest. But the cool thing is we need to make sure that this isn't like way too high or too low, right? So we can take this off. And it's got a little place right there. Look, we can set it there. And now we just push right up against it. And we need to make sure it's not crooked. And that's what this piece is for. It's got holes and screws in there that holds it straight. So, or actually I'll hold it. I'm holding it right against that and against this. And now we need to clamp it. So can you turn that until it clamps? Nice and snug, because we don't want it to wiggle. That should be good. Now the bottom one. Because imagine if we try to do it like this, it would be like, whoa, a lot. That's why normally this is out in front, so we'll put it in front. But we don't want it too close or the bit's going to eat into it. So we make sure we have enough room that the bit's safe, but that it still rides. Now we're good. Now we just remember we talked about the fibers. We got to put that sacrificial piece back in. And because it was a little loose, I just folded up that paper to hold it tight. So we'll just slide that right back in. But yeah, see, that's how it's going to go together. Now, before we glue stuff, if it has like, well, with the other ones, it was easy because we know the edges were just going together, so we didn't need to test it. But for this, we need to put it together and make sure everything's right before we get glue, because it'd be really bad if we put glue on this and tried to put it together, and then we realized that there was an oopsie. I know we've got to like clean all the glue off everything before it dries, right? That'd be real bad. So, they both came together well, so now we can glue them up. Which part is this?
These are the sides.
Yeah, it's like the box, the desk part of the desk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
What do you think this is for that we glued up?
storage. That's the top.
Yep, that goes right here. Yep.
Yeah.
You ready to glue these up?
Yes.
All right. So next is starting to cut the half laps on the legs, which is how it's going to hold the desk. To do that, I need to mark where they go, obviously. The trick is this front leg and knowing how far up on this to make it, because if it's, you can see they don't line up. So you need to find the point where they line up. So I use a square, got this dude clamped on so it's square, and now I can start finding the right distance. I modeled all this, but I prefer to do things real world than trust my model, because then I can account for any error in my cutting. Because let's say the model would work perfectly assuming I cut this exactly where it's supposed to be, which I can verify. It just depends how you like to work. So since I have the back leg squared to the desk, I can now come down here, use my big straight edge, and figure out how far forward the front leg needs to be to mark and cut the joinery. As I said, this is all in my model, but I might have made errors in my cutting. And as the great woodworker Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. So the box is all dried up. Time to start putting some legs on. We're gonna kind of follow the procedure we did for measuring the front legs. So we got our little dudes. We're gonna glue it, clamp it, make sure it's square, and then put some screws in it. All right, buddy? So first thing we need to do is add some glue here. Perfect. Ready? Do you want to take your jacket off so we don't get glue on it?
Brush end?
Yeah, just back up.
plain end?
I'd use the brush end. All right, RJ, go ahead and set that dude on there. We put your back legs on just like RJ did. And now we're going to do the front ones, which we didn't show on RJ. So it's kind of similar. Just put the glue on. Just a little bit. Remember, we don't need a bunch. That's good. Okay, now the difference is we're just going to feel for when this matches, and then we'll clamp it, okay? Do you remember how to clamp? Okay, buddy, so right here. Let's go ahead and clamp it, please.
As far as it will go.
Yeah, very good. Right. Boys are a little burned out as things are slowing down and getting more precise, so going to keep moving forward. Time to add the feet. We're going to go ahead and domino these on. Not the strongest way of attachment, but for the stresses that this is going to see, things going to be just fine. The trick is I want this leg to be centered on this foot, and obviously the widths are different. We're going to accommodate that by offsetting the domino, so we're not going to cut both with the fence at the same setting. We'll have to slide this guy back. Did the math to figure out what those dimensions need to be.
So now we just need to mark because we still need to make sure everything lines up. So I'll just line this up and give myself a little center mark on both sides. Came together pretty nice. I'm not worried about clamping. Gravity's just going to hold it. Everything set together nicely. And oh shoot, before I glued it, I should have sanded these lines off the inside. It's going to be a little harder. I might do that real quick before the glue sets. And to my eyeball, the legs look centered on the legs, or on the feet. So I think this was a win. Time to do the other one. Gonna give these a few hours to glue up, so while we're waiting on that, gonna start working on the chair joinery and bring those together. Got a interesting, fun, angly joint we gotta do with the table saw. So here we have our two chair kits. Have a foot, which this is gonna get an angle on the back like the desks have on the front. We have a front leg, a back leg, a rail, and then these are all the slats. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, I think something like that. But this slat is what's interesting. So we'll domino the front leg together like we just did the table. But on the back leg, we're gonna do this nested joint. So I'm going to take a little bit off the back leg to give more meat on this, and then we'll cut a groove through here so they, the problem is everything's at an angle, which is gonna make things a little more interesting. But yeah, that's what we're going to lay out and do on the table saw. I've got my two back legs, two front legs, or two rails and one front leg, so I don't accidentally cut this because there's only one of them. I'm going to use this as a spacer. I think a common mistake a lot of folks make in woodworking is working too much from measurements instead of from the pieces. So the way I'm going to figure out the bottom line, I'm just going to stand this piece up on its edge, get a front leg, grab the side of it, make sure that everything is nice and flat on my table. Yep, and now mark. And now I have a line on my back leg exactly where this is without having any errors from measurement introduced. I'm going to already set this to my angle. Now I can double check, make sure everything is squarish. Yep, looks good. Now I need to set my thickness. So I'm going to take the actual piece that's going to go there and line it up on my line and then mark. Now, an interesting thing to note, if you want really tight joints, something I need to remember is that when I did this baseline, that is just above how tall this is. So I actually want to cut that line away. This line, though, is above this piece. So I want to leave that line. So what I'm going to do is mark my waist, put a little X here to mark my waist, and I like to do a little arrow. The arrow is so I know this line goes away, and now I know that this line is going to stay. And I should only have to mark one of these because they're all going to be cut the same, but just because of, let me think, angles here, I'm going to have to change, might have to change my setup, so I'm going to go ahead and transfer these lines all the way around on this piece. So I got these parts established on the back legs, whatever you'd call this, some shoulders, but of course my blade wasn't very flat, and I didn't want to deal with tipping my blade, so the front is a little off. So just going to clean all that up with the chisel, and then we can cut the notch and the rail that's going to scissor in there. Yeah, so I need to put these together so I can get the distance to the front of this, cut all these to length, and then get the whole side assembly. That way we can measure the foot and then figure out where we want to put the angle, start the angle on the foot, cut the angle, then put these together, kind of like we did the desks, except the slats will be last. Cool. Now I need to go check my model and see what that needs to be. I don't know. So I'm actually within 1/8 of an inch, and I know all these were the same size. So I'm just going to leave it because I'd have to reference off this angled bit, and I have a feeling I'm probably actually going to make these more inconsistent, trying to get them to the model size than just leaving them where they are, and it's not really going to have an impact on anything. The only difference is the pieces that are here will be spaced just a fraction larger. So, and we haven't cut the angle on the foot yet, so nothing's going to go out of alignment there. Again, measure and mark to your pieces, not to your measurements. So obviously this side fits together fine. On the front, we're going to domino just like we did on the table, and then same thing for the feet. But once again, I've got to get these flush and mark it. Also, I'm going to have a little bit of an inset on the front leg, so I'm just using my square and a spacer here, kind of bring everything to level so I can make a mark to reference from. That way, keep everything consistent. And then I'm also marking these. That way I know which pairs all go together, because obviously all these pieces would still fit because they're going to get cut with the same dominoes, but that spacing wouldn't be consistent because my lines aren't consistent because they don't need to be. Got all the dominoes cut. Wasn't supposed to go all the way through. That was my boneheaded thing. I'm using 50mm dominoes, so I was cutting 25mm deep on each thing. The trick is I want to say that that actually goes a little bit deeper than that to allow room for glue, and these are 25mm thick, and I just didn't think about that on the first one. This is why I always make sure my fingers are out of the way. Yeah, not a big deal though, because the slat is actually going to stay right there, so this is going to be covered. But on the rest of them, I dropped from 25 down to 20, and I'll just use the shorter dominoes and everything will be fine. Just aggravating. So the foot of the chair, I've got a 2-inch overhang on the front, and that's so when they're sitting up here leaning forward, their chair doesn't tip, give them a little bit more stability. So I'm just lining that up with the front and then measuring the back, and all of these have about 4 inches. I want a gap, so what I'll do is I'll just come in 3 inches and then do the transition there, and that should look good. Actually, before I jump to the chairs, I just realized I can go ahead and pre-make the spreader, rail, support, whatever. These are pretty rigid, but just to make things stronger, I want to add a support across. I was thinking about doing it on the back, but Robbie pointed out as their legs get longer, that's probably a bad place to be. So I think I'm going to actually set it here, and this will also be a stop for pushing their chairs in, and we're going to dovetail this in. So I go ahead and get the dovetails cut on this, then once everything's dried, I can router and chisel out my dovetail pockets for this to sit into. Got my little marking gauge and I already set the depth to how deep I want my dovetails, so I'm just going to go ahead and make marks everywhere. And then this should just be a good bit of sawing. If you're not savvy on handwork, I just released a video on how to saw correctly and cut dovetails by hand and whatnot in a very approachable manner, so you might want to check those out. I'll link them below in the description. And in that video, I don't even use this tool. Much, much more simple. Off camera, I knocked out the chair sides, same as the bases, doing the whole offset thing with the domino to domino these together. Now I'm ready to move on to the slats, which are going to be the seats. I'm going to do a little notch on the bottom of these to just kind of help register everything when I set them on. Do that at the table saw. But before I do that, I don't like these sharp corners and I don't want to sand them all. So I've got an 1/8 inch round over bit in my router. Just going to knock these out. Generally not a great idea to use a router as a router table. Use a router table, but these have a big old flat battery and a nice base. I'm comfortable doing it, so I'm going to do it. If you're not, don't do it this way. Do it a different way. But yeah, so I'm going to knock these out real quick, then I'll go to the table saw, and then glue the chairs together, and the chairs will basically be done, I guess. Base is all done, so now I can start working on the cherry top. Going to use a technique I've been using lately I really like, which is to line up my pieces and then screw a cleat underneath it to hold everything together, and then track saw that at once, which makes a perfect glue joint. Then I can mark up my dominoes while everything's together, then do the glue up, some epoxy, some finish work, or sanding, and then all the finish work, and this thing will be ready to come together. One of the downsides of designing something where you're doing other builds and then finally getting to it is you think of something, you're like, oh, I need to check that and maybe change it. And then you think you did, but you didn't. And then you rely on those measurements. So one of the things I realized in my model, and I remember thinking this, like that space might be too short. I need to check it and maybe lower the chair. And I thought I did, but I didn't. And then I made them. So I've got RJ here and we're going to check it. Sit down, please. Yeah, it's definitely kind of high for you, and yeah, that's really close to your legs, isn't it? Which that's about as close as you're gonna sit, but I feel like he probably needs some more room, and his heels aren't even touching the ground yet, even though he is, you know, gonna grow. But my little one, this is definitely too tall. So I've already cut one down. Let's see how that is. All right, just slide this out of the way. So, all right. Don't block the camera. So I've already cut the feet off one, and the handy thing about this actually is it's making it a lot easier to do the dovetails like I did on the tables with, you know, the rest of the chair out of the way. So it's not glued together, just sit, and I'm going to slide this up and see. Pretty much ready to put the top on. I've already got one on. I just drilled some holes oversized, put some screws in here after pre-drilling, plugged them, and I've got the other top with an angle cut to match the angle. It'll go here, then they'll get a hinge ready to finish. So yeah, time to do that one, and I'm gonna hold off on doing the hinges until after everything's finished so I don't get a bunch of finish on them. With the finish dry and the tops on, just had to bring them up. I did put some feet on the bottom, some felt, so we wouldn't scratch up the floor. Got them in place. Boys have been using them and really like them. I guess we'll go to some beauty shots. I hope you learned something, were inspired, or at least entertained. And until next time, make time to make them.